So, American sports celebrity by the name of Tom Brady says he's 80% vegan but still eats meat, and nutritionists say that it's way more beneficial and people should eat that way. Now, this was the headline on a website. Actually, it was insider.com. And honestly, I don't know, like maybe it's just me, but I thought being vegan is 100% not meat or meat products. How are you 80% vegan? Like, I can get he's busy talking about, oh, blah, blah, the Pareto principle, blah, blah, blah. So like 80% of his plate is non-meat, and then there's 20% that's meat. And that's how he's managed to play for all these years, and he's in his 40s and he's still doing really well. But if we were to use this logic on so many other things, then niggas on dry spell are 90% celibate because they've been getting pussy only 10% of the time. This is like saying that if I've been having sex for about 5 years and I'm 25 years old, then I could also be 20% sexually active and 80% virgin.
Get ready for the battle of the sexes.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel as though like a lot of people nowadays in media are trying to get behind some sort of label and fad so that they can identify as something, and I don't know, like this one seems just pitiful. How is it that you're 80% vegan? Like, you can say that, yes, I have been consuming more plant-based products and I've been reducing my meat consumption, but you can't start calling yourself vegan. It's like, it's either you're in it or you're not. Like, I don't think there's a percentage in between that's actually supposed to allow it. Like, if you were doing, say, animal products and you weren't doing meat, then you'd call yourself vegetarian. If you're taking meat, then you're neither vegan nor vegetarian. It's like saying that you're in prison and not in prison at the same time. It's like, oh, I'm only in prison like 40% of the time, so I'm 60% free because, you know, I get taken to a minefield. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, even when you check with the LGBT for a bit, like, do bisexual people come out and say that they're 50% into guys, 50% into girls, or 60% into guys and 40% into girls, or some weird percentile of that? No. Like, you just say, you know what, I go for both guys and girls. Just the same with prisoners are like, I'm in prison. Just the same way I can say that I do both Battle of the Sexes and Tweet Street, of which I should 100% start one of them because we are on the 100th episode and we best start it right now. So in our very typical fashion, welcome to Breaktime on West Side, your number one Breaktime podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who continues to run his mouth as a form of cardio. He's a man that used to believe that bukkake was a Japanese form of martial arts. It is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Battle of the Sexes, our weekly love, sex, and relationships show, where I get to talk about some shit that revolves around two people dating. Sometimes it might involve a cheating scandal. At some point, people might debate it, but normally I will bring a conclusion at the end of all of it. And if you are the kind of person who has an idea of something that we should discuss, really wants to debate something that I've already said, or just wants to give some nice feedback, then the place to hit us up on is on IG at Breaktime on Westside is the handle. The DMs are always open. On Facebook it is also at Breaktime on Westside, and on Twitter you can slide into my personal DMs, which is at Bagaka the D. And regardless of whether it's from episode 1 to episode 100, I will take all criticism, all opinions, and all feedback, and also any potential new topics into consideration. And I will accept them all and I will appreciate them, even though I'll act like I don't appreciate them. But damn, like, I know I'm supposed to get into the rant and like the main episode, but damn, we've managed to go for 100 episodes. Like, people usually say that, oh, you know, I never really saw this coming, but yeah, you know, I'm glad I'm here. I also never really thought about what it is that I do on the 100th episode, and at the same time, like, I kind of pictured myself getting here. I just never really knew how full of awe I'd be. Like, I've actually managed to clock 100 episodes on a single series. Like, not the entirety of the podcast, a single series. Like, that's mad. Like, that's really, really mad by anyone's standards, honestly. Like, most TV series rarely ever get to 100 episodes nowadays. And that's TV series. Podcasts, I remember on average, they don't even get to 50. So, like, this is a huge milestone for me and for you who's listening, whether this is your first time, whether it's your fourth time, your fifth time, whether you've been listening from the start or whether you found us in the middle. Thank you so much for listening to Battle of the Sexes. Thank you so much for listening to Break Time on West Side. Y'all are the people that keep me going, and your feedback keeps me going, and your topic discussions keep me going. And some of the debates that I have after I've already uploaded the podcast and you're debating something that I said keep me going. Like, I really appreciate all of that shit. And even though I expected this time to come, even though I was really looking forward to it, I am still very grateful. It's not like it's a normal feeling. It's not like I knew how good it would feel. Like, it's not like I knew how I'd feel about it. But either way, I am super glad for each and every one of you that's been a part of this journey, regardless of where you hopped in. And we will continue making more and more episodes. But that said, we should definitely move it on to our main topic. But before we do that, I want us to talk about Sims for a little bit. And yes, I know I talk about Sims all the time and I speak against them, and simping supposedly seems like a bad thing for a lot of people, even though some babes might actually feel like, you know what, it's good. It's good to show your woman love. It's good to do stuff for your person. And that's a debate that we can definitely do at a different time. Now, the reason why I'm bringing Sims into this is because I feel as though there's gassing up a babe, and then there's paying for the gas in which you use to gas up the babe. Because this is a very interesting case that I have here. Now, the star of the American reality TV show called 90 Day Fiancé, known as Stephanie Matto, recently came out to say that she has been selling her farts in jars and has so far made, get this, $45,000 US. $45,000 US for aerosol shit. Like, Shorty could have gone and gobbled up a bunch of eggs, and she just went and she farted in a couple of jars and sold them, and they went. As in, people usually say to succeed in business, create a product of value, and then people will be willing to pay for it. Like, how did people see value in her farts? Like, let me just get this straight. Like, how did people see her value? And I'm not going to say that she's dumb, because I think the people that are buying her farts in jars are even dumber. But one of the reasons that she believes that people buy her farts in jars is because she has a nice personality. Like, just try and get that through your head for a little bit. I would want to smell your fart because you have a nice personality. As if your personality would eat the beans and, you know, go and take the dump. As if your personality can be put on a smell. Like, personality is some shit that stays in your head. How it is that it contributes to the fart is still beyond me. But like I said, the dumber people are the ones who are buying the farts, because at least she admitted that, you know, people are buying it because she's hot. Like, that was the other reason that she was giving. But people are actually putting money down to go and buy her fart. Like, how about you just take her out on a date, which is something that will definitely have more value, and then, you know, have her get fed a bunch of cold beans and shit, and then when she's losing it, like, you can go and hug and hold that ass real nicely. Like, I feel like that one would probably be a lot better value. Although I'm guessing, because she's supposedly a reality TV star of sorts right now, she'd probably charge you a hell of a lot more for that. So maybe you're busy scrambling around for the morsels by getting the fart. Because clearly, love wasn't in the air, so her stomach's idea of leftovers from yesterday's dinner would probably work just as well. Like, you can see the IQ in all of this, right? No? Alright, at least I'm not the only one that, you know, sees the lack of IQ in every single person that's buying jars with her fart. Like, I can get there's a kink to such shit, but this is beyond kink level. Although, hold up. Like, let me just think this through 1 second. Like, if you actually think about it, this is like the closest version of eating her booty like groceries that some of these people have. When you think about it, you know, you can smell the booty. It's almost like when you're walking past like a nice restaurant and you can smell the food. Like you can't eat it, but you can smell it, you know? Yeah, now I've definitely seen the IQ in this. Stephanie, you have clearly done the thing, and you have clearly seen where the value is at, because all these niggas probably want to eat the booty like groceries, but they can't. You won't let them, because you don't know what's in their mouths. So how about they get a simple taste of it, then probably they can get addicted to that shit, as you're busy trying to find the right one to eat your booty for you. Very, very smart. Anyways, that said, we definitely should probably move it on. So on to our main topic of today. And there was this take that I saw on IG, and there's a very interesting statement that was given, and it ended up setting off a bit of a debate in the comment section of the IG page where this video was actually posted up. So I'm gonna play it for you guys, and as usual, I'll point out what I feel is right, what I feel is wrong, and my thoughts on the entire thing. So here it is.
Say there's a woman in a room with 10 men, and all 10 men are telling her how beautiful she is and how amazing she is, and they're lighting her cigarette and buying her drinks and just treating her like gold. Then, all of a sudden, in walks the 11th man. He takes one look at her and says, "Hey, how you doing?" Turns his back on her and starts talking to his boys. That's the guy she wants to be with, the 11th man. Not any of the 10 men who were treating her well all night, but the one guy who couldn't care less. For some reason, women don't want nice. They don't want real. They don't want to be treated well. I mean, not at first, and sometimes not ever. And I think that's crazy. And I refuse to play that game. Get a girl by pretending that I don't like her. I want to be with a woman who's real, who digs it when I'm nice to her, who doesn't see that as weakness or take me for granted when I tell her that I think she's more amazing than anything else in the entire world. But fortunately, most women aren't like that. They say they are, and deep down inside, they want to be, but they're not.
Alright, so when I was watching this entire video, at some point I decided to rewatch it again, but I decided to also look through some of the comments. And to be quite honest, they had quite a lot of range, because there were people that were ranging it from misogynistic to, a justification as to why it is guys will treat women like shit, all the way to people that were saying that it was 100% true and it represented the truth. And, other people were like, oh, we actually like nice guys. And to be honest, I do understand why it is that it would be a debate for a lot of people, because it's almost like saying that women want to be treated like shit so that they can, feel attracted to you. And honestly, there's a lot to unpack in this entire thing. Like, that one clip is like a minute or some shit, but there's quite a lot to unpack there. So, okay, honestly, I don't fully agree or fully disagree. But I mostly agree with quite a lot of what he's saying. The problem is how it's all being portrayed is a bit misleading and might cause a lot of people to end up treating women like shit, because they feel like that's what's going to get them to have women be more attracted to them, which I think is wrong in and of itself. But let me just start by saying what it is that I felt was right. Now, first of all, everything that he said about the 11th man walking into the room is actually right to a pretty huge degree. It's something that I've seen happen quite a lot in parties when you're at the club and there's like a whole bunch of guys that are all trying to hit on this one very, very fine babe. Like, I've seen such shit happen from time to time to time to time. Like, it's not uncommon for such a thing to happen. So I can definitely agree that that is true. It's not true for like a complete majority, because there's a lot of variables there, but in quite a number of cases it actually is true. Now, the whole thing about women wanting to not be treated nicely and be treated badly, I don't actually agree with that. I do think that women do want to be treated nicely, but there are certain conditions that will make it such that it'll be something that she'll reciprocate as niceness and not necessarily turn you down because she's thinking something else, at least by my judgment on the entire thing. So first of all, I'm just gonna start by saying there's too many assumptions in this, because for the 11th man story to actually work, you'd need all 11 of these men to be roughly about the same size, roughly about the same height, roughly about the same age, and have roughly the same amount of earning potential. So if it's tall, dark, and handsome, then you'd expect that for this to work, they'd probably all have to be possibly handsome, tall, maybe dark, and all make a fairly nice amount of money and, be financially stable and shit. So if you disrupt any of the variables there, then the outcome is completely different. If you tell me that one of the 10 guys happens to make the most amount of money and this babe can clearly see it, even though the 11th man comes through and he doesn't look like he makes that much, there's a very good chance that this babe might find the 11th man more attractive, but will still go home with one of the 10 guys, and it's the one with the money. Like, seeming like the more attractive person is one thing, but her going home with you is a definitely different situation in and of itself. There's a lot of attractive guys that'll go to a club and not pick a babe even though that babe finds them attractive. And there's guys who are not attractive that will still go with that same babe. Also, you can add things like physical features. Like if the 11th guy was, say, extremely short, or he had a weird walking style, or seemed to have some form of a disability, or probably he wasn't even just dressed well, his chances automatically start to plummet. Like, for this to happen, the 11th guy has to be as good looking, if not more good looking, and he has to have a certain stature with him. And that's where the whole 11th man thing actually works and actually makes a lot of sense. But that said, the question that most guys will probably ask is why that's the case. Like, babes will talk about how they want to be treated well, blah, blah, blah. They want a guy that is sweet with them, blah, blah, blah. Like, they'll say that and then they'll end up falling for this same exact shit all the time. And the question usually is why. Now, obviously, I do not have the lady parts. I am not a woman, so I can't confirm this, but I'm going to give you my reasoning as to why it is they do this based on the, say, 99 episodes of Battle of the Sexes I've done and the 2.5 years that I've done this podcast, plus quite a bit of observation. Personally, I honestly feel like babes do this because they know that all 10 of these guys are being nice and sweet with her because they want to fuck. And the 11th guy who said hi probably did it as a genuine courtesy. Like, he's not trying to fuck, he's not trying to date, he's being genuine and he is on his way. So that seems a lot more believable because in some way or another, the fact that they're not always trying to be nice means that they're not necessarily trying to lie to you. It's the whole act of being genuine. The fact that you can show that you're both hot and cold, because as a human being, you can't all be nice. You can't be nice 100% of the time. And it's kind of the same thing that I usually have a discussion with guys about when it comes to, like babes will say that they want a guy who's sweet with them. No, they want that from their boyfriend. You can go ahead and you can be nice and you can be sweet with her, but you also have to show that you're not going to bend to her every whim. You also have to show that you have a spine and that there's stuff that pisses you off, and that if you're pissed off by something, you won't just sit and just allow it to continue happening as it just, takes over you. Like, it's not like you just bend over to somebody's will simply because you want to fuck. Like, you'll get up and you'll bounce because it's not about the pussy, it's about the both of you getting some form of mutual benefit. Like, that will work a hell of a lot better than you just being all nice and sweet with a person the entire time. And it's something that does translate a little further on when this guy was saying that women don't want a guy that's nice with her, and then he continues and he says, at least not at first. It's the same exact rule. You need to show that not only can you be nice, but you can also be annoyed as well. You can also get pissed off. You also have the things that you want. That you can be in the car and she can take the aux and she can plug in her music and you can find it like shit and you can turn the radio off because you feel like that music is shit and the car is yours. Like, showing that you are genuinely a person in that you have the good side and the bad as well is what gives the whole complete form of the kind of guy that she'd probably want. So if your anger issues are a problem, then she can vet you and she can drop you quickly. But if it's not a problem, then definitely, she'd be down to go for the whole thing. And it's unfortunate that a lot of the quote-unquote genuinely nice guys are going to lose out on getting babes because they actually try to be as nice as possible. They'll be sweet with a babe. Probably they won't even get pissed off. They'll be a lot more understanding, and the babes will kind of take this as some sort of act, as opposed to the guy that will probably treat them like shit. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Although at the same time, you can also add in the fact that there's a very fine line between dominance and disrespect. And you'll probably never realize how incredibly fine and actually quite blurry that line can get, especially when it comes to things like bedroom matters. Like, think about it for a second. When you're in the bedroom, isn't it usually the guy that'll be insultive to the babe? Oh, you fucking bitch. Oh, I'm gonna fuck you like a slut, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of babes will be very receptive to that. But when you look at the guy, it's not like the guy is being disrespected. He's not being called a piece of shit. It's usually the babe that's called that. And usually that's sort of seen as a sign of dominance. And the thing is, when it comes to getting a babe, maybe a little bit of disrespect might actually be necessary to portray the dominance. The problem is, if you tell that to a bunch of guys who have zero experience in hitting on women or are just trying to learn how to pick up babes, they end up misusing it and they end up being blatantly disrespectful, as opposed to actually learning the art of doing it and learning to switch between it so that you can at least seem a lot more dominant. But all in all, to go back to the question that some people might ask, do women actually want men to be nice with them? And the truth is, they do. They want people to treat them nicely. The only problem is, because they're babes, and they know very well that a lot of times when someone is treating you nicely, they probably want to fuck you. They probably will be more wary of you when you treat them nicely the entire way than if you treated them nicely but made sure you showed that you do not take some bullshit. But that said, all of that said, let me conclude by just telling you this. As a guy, there's nothing wrong with being nice to a babe. There is nothing wrong with treating women with respect and treating them nicely. And hell, if you like them, there's nothing wrong with treating them nice as well. The only thing is, don't you ever compromise on who you are or what it is that you want just to get yourself a babe. Because the moment you do that, you end up becoming one of those nice guys that have given babes this feeling that if a guy is nice with them, then it's probably because they want to fuck or they want to date them. And that is where the entire cycle started from. Although, then again, I might be wrong about this, so I want to know your thoughts on this. Fellas, do you agree with what the clip said? Do you agree with what I say? Do you disagree with all of it? Ladies, have I said the truth or have I lied? I want to know your thoughts on this. The DMs are open on IG. It is at Breaktime on Westside. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on Westside. And on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs, which is at Bagaka the D. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end. And thank you so much for being a part of episode 100 and 100 episodes of Battle of the Sexes. I look forward to giving you hundreds more. If you are listening through Castbox, feel free to drop your thoughts and comments below and I will attend to them accordingly. If you are listening through some app that allows for ratings and reviews, a rating and or review will be highly appreciated, and I will catch you guys on the next break.